Hey, I'm Robbie Kramer. You're listening to the Leverage Podcast, where we discuss using your social skills to hack dating, travel, finding your dream job, and becoming a complete man.
How's everyone doing?
Pretty well.
No complaints.
I think all of us have some tales to tell.
All right, who wants to start?
Ozzy, you guys can go, I guess, since you did the most.
Sure. Yeah. I guess we'll kind of cover most of it with questions as they come through, but it was a weekend trip. New York was great, Thanksgiving holiday, a lot of families out there. So, went out there for 3 days, Friday, and then Saturday came back. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I didn't do much on Thursday, but Friday, Friday met with Nathan. And we did a bit of day game, a bit of night game. He knew some cool spots. Supposed to be like a dating thing. Nathan, was it like a quick speed dating or something event?
Oh yeah, it was a meetup group, but the event was kind of bad. It was kind of sad. But,
yeah.
But afterwards, we went to. So we were Daygaming at Hudson Yards and then Columbus Circle. I saw Ozzy do at least 15 or 20 approaches, and I did 4.
Wow. Great.
And I just posted about it too. But then we went to the 230 and 5th rooftop for night game.
That was great. Yeah, that was awesome too. Yeah. Oh, you've been there?
Yeah.
Great. So you know how I recorded a video to get some feedback on what to do in this chaos. So it sounds like you already know. What happened?
Well, I figured, I thought you guys might be there because I saw the picture in front of the Empire State Building, and that's the best place to get that photo. I have that same photo from years ago.
Okay. Cool. That was too cold. They were handing out Snuggies on the rooftop, so a lot of people had these red Snuggies on, it's like a coat over or something. And they had these small cabins, igloos you can rent, reserved igloos where people it's like reserving a table almost. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
So what were the big takeaways from that experience?
For day or night?
Both.
Yes, Nathan and I, we both had different takeaways. But the best thing is we work in harmony. We kind of complement each other in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I figured you would.
So it worked a lot. It worked really well. I started approaching really hot girls, the ones like 9s and 10s. The last girl I approached, I think she was probably 19 years old. She had this whole fur coat on and really pretty eyes, and she was walking towards her dad when I approached her. She was like, "Oh, my dad is there." I'm like, "Oh shit." But I had no the approach anxiety was gone. But then the wall I hit was how to develop the connection from there. Then that was the part I was missing, where I was too much technical about just the approach. Where it's when the approach is done, I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's all I had to do. That's good. But now I feel approach is really not everything. If you get something out of approach, that's what you're really making a difference. So if I stay there and target on certain girls where I can take them for a date, extended date, or maybe go get a coffee or dinner later on, a couple of days while I'm there. I think that was my thing, is stay in, try to make that connection rather than just getting a number and walking away. Because that, to me, that's not a win. Before I thought it was a win. So that was one.
Well, that's good. That means you're making progress, because in the beginning, it feels good to get numbers. And then once you get used to getting numbers, you're like, well, what good is this number if they don't see me again? so then you start to realize, all right, it's more about the quality of the interaction than the end result, because if it's a quality interaction, that's going to lead to seeing them again, right? And that's obviously the name of the game in terms of day game approaching. However, it's great to you have to kind of go through that process to get there, because there's so much anxiety for those beginning steps. So that's good. How many numbers did you get from those approaches?
I got 3 numbers and 2 Instagrams.
Okay. Out of how many, you think?
25.
Okay, 5 out of 25. That's not terrible.
Yeah, some of them I would just approach and just like walk away, like, oh, I'm not, just wanted to say hello. I mean, a lot of them were just kind of warm up approaches, and then some of them they were good. I asked for the number, and then some of them they were just not good, so I just didn't ask for the number.
Okay, that's good too. Having the wherewithal to know to not ask if it sucks. Then I really like doing that if the approach is going well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes if you know you're not gonna. If you know there's no connection and you ask for the number, she's going to reject you. So then you feel like shit. So, in those situations, I'll just won't ask. And I'll say, all right, see you later. Have a good day.
Yeah, right.
So, good. How about you, Nathan?
Yeah, so for me, that was an awesome weekend. Like, Ozzy, thanks for coming out, man. I really hope you come out again to New York, or I get a chance to visit you in DC or another city. Because for me, that was eye-opening. So I guess there were two things, and I just wrote a post about it, so it's fresh in my mind. So I did a couple of approaches, right? I only started approaching a few days ago, and one of the first realization for me is just how I'm not really a victim of my circumstances. Like, so for example, before I think that I'd have to go to a club and get drunk or something in the outside world was preventing me from meeting girls. But after doing a few Daygame approaches and seeing how well they can really go, I got some really positive reactions, in New York. I only did 4 approaches, and two reactions were extremely positive.
Yeah.
Doing that really opened my eyes to, just what's possible. So that really shocked kind of my narrative and my worldview, first of all. But second, I realized that right after approaching them and right after it goes really well, I have all this fear, and it's so intense. It's almost like a wall in front of me. And as soon as I notice that, it's going really well, I just have this instinct to get away from the situation. And that prevented me during the day from getting numbers, and at night from joining Ozzy. So at night, Ozzy was approaching every group he saw at the penthouse. And the door was wide open for me to come in too. But I felt, it wasn't just that I was stuck in my head. I just felt this fear of what if this goes well? What if we connect? And I'm not really sure where it comes from, but it was a great experience for me to really see that that wall.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm guessing you guys talked a little bit about how to be a wingman, how to come in a situation.
No. Not really. It was more
maybe
I told
after
them,
you did.
Yeah, I was whenever it feels right, come in. But the best thing is, off of the approaches he did, after we worked through the hook and soap, I think the biggest thing I learned at immersion was to do it that 3 paces, stopping, all that, letting you, someone doing it to you was the biggest revelation. So we did that at the mall. I think people were looking at it, what are these 2 guys doing? But after that, once he did the approach, I could see the girl light up. She lit up and kind of crossed her legs, and she was happy that he actually did it. So I think that was the positive anchor for him to see that they actually like it with the approach like that. So
yeah,
and then
yeah, man, dude, she loved it. I did 1 hook and swoop, just 1 the whole time, and it felt great, and the reaction she gave me was one I never thought that I could have, honestly. Because I was leaving her, she was screaming thank you at me as I kind of went back to Ozzy.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'm looking forward to reading, what you wrote in the group. So let's first hear from Nick and then from Marty. Good to have Marty on the call. Haven't seen him in a while. So, how about you? What happened with what's up with you, Nick? What's been going on since San Diego?
Yeah, so I wanted to go out last weekend, but I didn't. And you gave me this dare to do 34, and I failed. But I did. Let's see, I did about a third of that. It was a lot harder than I expected, and I got kind of a late start. I got out. I think I was in Orlando by 3:30, but it was still so freaking exhausting just walking around for 6 hours. So it kind of went fast at the beginning, and then I kind of lost steam. Ozzy told me that might happen. Kind of did. anyways, I had lots of firsts that I wanted to. That I did. I mean, I was kind of upset that I didn't get the 34, but I did have lots of first experiences that I was kind of proud of myself for doing. So I approached. There was this pair of girls that were walking by at one point, and typically either one would be like so hot that I wouldn't like. I was already assuming I was going to crash and burn. I didn't do that badly, and it was a pair of them. So I was like, that was like way out of my scope for what I usually would dare to approach. So I was happy I went through with that. There was also, I was doing pairs of people left and right. Like it wasn't like a huge deal breaker for me. Like it has been before the immersion. I would have never gone up to anybody that was in any kind of group. And I still don't go up if there's a guy in the group. But if there's just girls, then I don't have too much of a problem. There was even one group of 4 that I tried to stop one of them with. I also, out of my approaches, the hook and swoop never failed. So I think I have that down fairly well. Like they don't just keep on walking. They might walk a few more steps, but I eventually stopped them. And even one of the last ones that I did, she was kind of keep on walking. And it was really weird. Like she was kind of antagonistic at first because she thought like, oh, you're just trying to impress your friends or something like that. And she like came at me aggressively. And I was like, I've heard about this before. It's these shit tests, right? So it means like they're actually like, this could be better than just ignoring me. So I just calmed down and I stayed in it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and I don't know. It kind of turned around to where, I got her Instagram. So out of the 13 approaches I did, I got 4 Instagrams. I have a whole bunch of questions related to that. I don't know if you're taking questions right now or you just want to hear Marty, but that's the sum up of my experience. Oh, and then I tried going out to do night game later on, but I was so freaking exhausted. I went there to scope out what was there. It was a pretty cool night, but I was just like unable to break out and do what Ozzy usually does, which is just go up and talk to all the different groups. So
you were alone, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to get to in the future is just do more day game. Like if I go do this Orlando thing again.
Yeah.
And then not be so exhausted by the time nighttime comes that I can do something there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough to going out alone at night is a lot tougher than day game, obviously. But that's awesome. I love the one about the girl who who started giving you some shit. Yeah, those will often turn around. Like those sort of reactions are great because, it means that she's really invested emotionally in the experience. I want to encourage you guys to do. I've been playing around with this. Well, Nick and Ozzy kind of started it together. They would just call each other while out approaching and, kind of act as like a cheerleader or a virtual wingman. And they had a lot of success just having that support, doing that together. And then I did it the other day on a coaching call with Nathan. He did his first, I think, direct approach, right, Nathan, on the phone, and just kind of like having me there.
Oh yeah,
which it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, I really want to encourage you guys to do that. And Marty, there's another guy who just joined the group he's 54. He's a retired physician. He's also a real estate investor. And I know he's like just getting into approaching now, but he's really motivated and like he's already doing it. So it'd be great if you were able to like take him under your wing because you've done so many approaches and you've been in this process for so long. And I think you get a lot out of kind of maybe doing that with him too.
Okay, I'll touch base with him.
Nick, you want to circle back for your questions? And
yeah, I got a lot so people can ask.
If you have any too, go for it.
Yeah, okay. So
yes, I have a few as well.
I got a couple times where they said that they couldn't understand English that well, and this one Brazilian girl in particular said that, and then like an idiot, I went over explicitly what I like very slowly, and I felt like by the end of it, because as soon as it was obvious she couldn't pretend not to understand me anymore, she just kind of brushed me off. So I was like, oh, okay. She was basically trying to get out of it, probably. Like, I do feel like there are a lot of Asians I approached, not a lot, but there were a couple that actually literally had difficulty with the language. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of something that they do to get out of the interaction. Like they just kind of act like they don't understand English. And so I was wondering, instead of taking them at their word and looking like an idiot that can't understand implicit communication, would it be kind of funny to be like, when you're repeating yourself, instead of actually saying, hey, I thought you were cute, I wanted to come over and approach you, to be like, this is a stick up, put your hands up, or something like that. Like, because then it's like, if they do understand English, they're going to be like, what the fuck? And it'll be obvious that they know, and then you'll be like, hi, I called you out. And you're doing it in a fun way. But then I didn't know if that's like too edgy, or if there's anything to do because they've already rejected you. Sort of like the boyfriend thing.
Well, what I usually do, I like the stick-up idea. It's worth the test.
I might get arrested.
Yeah, it's edgy, so I like it for that reason. It's also fun, right? Yeah, I have no idea how that would work, but I'd be really curious to hear. What I usually do is I'll just start kind of making overt sign gestures. Like, okay, I heart you. Give me Instagram. And, if they're smiling and like, I've done probably 1,000 of those on my travels with girls who speak no English at all, but everyone understands, like, I love heart you, phone, Instagram, number. Like, that's all you really kind of have to do. And I've had dates like that. I've gone out. They speak not a fucking word of English in Ukraine. And, we just go through Instagram. I did it with a Japanese girl in Australia. I went on like 3 dates with her. She didn't speak any English, and she wouldn't get physical at all. Like, she wouldn't hold my hand. She wouldn't even kiss me. So it was, that's pretty fucking painful. But she was really flirty and laughy and like giggly and super, like the cutest Japanese girl ever. Like a fucking, like a Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting somewhere, but I wasn't. But I was still able to make those dates fun, just by using phones and using lots of hand gestures. And
using the phone to translate or to show pictures or what?
Show pictures. You can use translate, but that process can be a little clunky.
Yeah.
To show pictures. Yeah, you can do some translate in there. Walk around, look at shit. Obviously it's got to be a more interactive date than if you were just like sitting at a bar talking. So,
okay.
Yeah. But no, that's good. And you could try the stick-up thing. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I feel like yours is safer.
Yeah.
All right. I got another question. Is it, because I've been doing a lot more Instagram now than the actual numbers, so I have a lot more Instagram-related questions.
Have you been posting on Instagram? I haven't seen anything lately.
Yeah, and I don't even understand that. Is it like the stories I'm supposed to post, or is it like because those seem very like temporary?
So let's see. You only have 3 pictures.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more pictures from the immersion. So you want to post. You want basically you want to be able to fill the page with photos, right? That way, on first glance, when a girl sees your Instagram, it looks like you put some time into it.
Okay. Do I need to fill out the description?
No, I don't even have a description. Okay. Description's like, I don't know. You can use what you use on your dating profile, but you can also say nothing. Kind of like captioning. Like, you can have captions for photos, or you can have nothing. I think it's better to have nothing than something lame if you're trying too hard. Because the whole point of it is post a photo. Like, captions, just whatever. So,
hey, Rob.
But you've got on your photos here, if you were to post, like, let's say you have 3 good ones from the photo shoot we did at the immersion.
Well, do I want to?
You don't want
to post all those same ones, though? I mean, then it looks
exactly.
like a photo
shoot. You don't, because then it just looks like it doesn't look good.
Yeah, pick like one good one, right?
Well, if you did one good one and then you did like 2 or 3 other things, then you did another good one, it would look a lot better. You just don't want to have like them all in a row. Like, I kind of made that mistake on mine. Like, you see on the top, they're all black background with PZDS stuff.
Yeah.
If I were to go back, it would probably be better if those were dispersed throughout. not a big deal, but if it's a newer Instagram account like yours, it would make it a little bit bigger of a deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, try to get in the habit. I think you have a decent amount of content to post. So, once every, whatever, once every 3 or 4 days, throw a picture up there, or even every day if you have a lot of stuff. And then stories. Yeah, stories are stories can be way less interesting than actual posts.
A post being just a picture, right?
Right.
Okay.
A picture or a video, something on your feed, versus a story, which is just 24-hour, shows up and then it's gone.
And then it goes away, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get in the habit of watching other people's stories, and obviously.
Yeah, I've been watching you and Scotty and James.
Yeah. Don't become an Instagram fucking fiend, because then you'll want to kill yourself. It can be very toxic to spend too much time on Instagram. But at least try to get a feel for what other people are posting on stories and give you some ideas.
Okay.
Should follow some accounts of people that do a good job. Like I posted, what's his name? My friend Nick, not Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
He has probably the best Instagram that I've seen for someone who's not a celebrity or not famous.
If not Bradley Cooper.
He's in that video, Instagram video.
It's like this.
Oh, okay.
_ not Bradley Cooper. So.
Is he in the group?
He used to be. I could add him back in there. I could. He's been on the podcast a couple times for how to do your Instagram, and once he was on the podcast.
All right, I just requested to follow him.
Cool.
That's cool. So, all right. So my question was, is it really better to get Instagram instead of a number, from the sense that if I get the number, I can always transition to Instagram afterwards? Is it better to, because then I feel like I'm getting more investment from them at the beginning. Is it weak to get Instagram first if I feel like I can get the number? Because there were some times where they're like, oh, let's exchange numbers, and I went, no, let's do Instagram. And
no, I think that's fine.
Instagram's better?
No, the number is fine, and then converting to Instagram later. It's kind of personal preference. Also, no, I think the best thing you could do is say, use the number line. Give me your number. If you don't like me, give me a fake one. And then as they're putting it in, be like, oh, by the way, you what's the best way to contact you? Because a lot of people use Instagram these days instead of texting. So as she's kind of entering it, you can ask that question, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm always on Instagram. Let's do that.
Okay, because that also leads me to another question that I feel like the fake number line doesn't. I tried using you can give me with the Instagram thing, I was like, or you could just give me a fake account or something like that, but it didn't seem like it would work the same way, because you have their picture and everything. It's and they don't have to, if they give you their account and you request to follow, they can always deny you later. So there's less of the whole justification for the fake doesn't make any sense with Instagram.
Yeah, you can still, I've used it recently and it works fine, but the number one is a little bit more smooth. So if you feel better doing that, just do that. And then you can always message them within the first few back and forth about, hey, let's connect on Instagram.
Yeah,
here's my handle.
Right. That sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, do that.
Let's see. So what happened to me actually a couple times, and I thought it was a bad sign, but then they ended up accepting my follow request. They basically asked for my Instagram kind of quickly, and it felt like they were trying to cut off the interaction. I don't know, is that a tactic that you see, or is that it felt like in the moment that it was implying low interest, because they're because after I came up and did a quick interaction with this pair of girls, they're like, okay, what's your Instagram? And I was like, okay. But it felt like it was them trying to run me off, okay, I'll give you the Instagram, go away. But then they actually did accept it, and it seemed like it worked. So I was wondering, statistically in general, is that a good sign or a bad sign or neutral or what?
I don't know. I haven't had that happen too many times. Yeah, I mean, kind of have to use your own judgment. If it felt like a blow off, but then they were receptive later, then maybe not.
Well, it did, but maybe also while I was talking to them, I made a better impression or something. I don't know, because, she had her friend, her cousin, and while she was typing in my Instagram, I kind of interacted with the cousin a little bit more.
Oh, good.
Kind of chit-chatting.
Yeah, that's great. You did it's awesome to do the ones with multiple people because they feel a lot harder, but they're actually easier because they give you more, there's more content to go off of, more people to talk to.
Yeah.
Less pressure.
It's a scary, counterintuitive, fact.
Oh, yeah. It's even easier if you do it with a guy there. The girls give you like massive street credit for that. Like, whoa, this guy's,
Right. So are you saying there's like a group and one of them is a guy? Or are you saying a guy and a girl?
A group.
Okay.
Doing a guy and a girl is like, I mean, people do it. Like Gustavo does it all the time. Like, dude, come on.
Okay. Yeah, because that seems a little too much.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. I mean, he'll do it. I've seen James has done it in front of me. I think I've only done it like 2 or 3 times, to be honest. I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Like a couple, right? It's pretty aggressive. But it really can't go poorly as long as you're calling out the situation, because if they're a couple, then they're just going to tell you they're a couple, and it's like a pretty nice compliment. Like, you're not going to get like an aggressive guy very often. I don't think that, I've never heard of that happening where a guy was like pissed,
Okay.
Where, because
I guess you are complimenting his girl.
Yeah.
And you're being direct. You're not trying to be sneaky or anything.
Exactly. So.
Okay. That's
Gustavo does it a lot. Like, he'll just walk up and be like, hey, like, hopefully, like, she's not your girlfriend or anything. If she is, I'm really sorry. And the guy will be like, no. And,
Okay, so you definitely call it out, though, because usually you say that it's terrible to say, are you single? But if the guy's standing right there, then it's okay to make it explicit.
Yeah, if the guy's there after I do the, like, I had to risk embarrassing the hell out of myself in front of you guys to do this. And, like, if you guys are a couple or anything, tell me now.
Okay.
Hey, Robbie.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever pretended to hit on the guy after that, just as a joke? That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be hilarious. I've never heard of that.
You should see if Gustavo would do it.
I one time pretended to be gay to pull a threesome, though. There was this guy who was really aggressive, and he was like big and scary, and I would not have done well. So I pretended, like, the girls knew I wasn't, but he thought I was, and I used that to, like, put them in a cab and, like, disorient him, and then take off without him. He was not happy.
Nice. Okay, so I had one instance where the girl thought she was being pranked. Well, twice actually, but one of them, it was like she was frozen scared and literally thought that she might be on a game show or something like that. And I was just wondering, do you play into that? Do you become like, do you try to reassure them that you're real? Like, or do you make a joke out of it and be like, oh, yeah, you see the cameras and stuff? Like, where do you kind of go with that?
I've done it both ways, like, yeah, you just point, like, yeah, there's a camera guy right there. You don't see him? It's this guy right here. Hey, camera guy. And then obviously it's like, no, there's no camera guy here. Like, what? No one's ever come up and talked to you during the day? Like, I'm the only weirdo you've ever met?
Well, that's what she was like, who just goes and talks to random people or something? I didn't really have an answer for that. She was just kind of thinking out loud. I was just like, oh.
What was your opening line? Because if, typically, okay. Well, I mean, you're calling out that you understand that it's weird what you're doing.
I feel like she probably didn't. It's one of those things where the whole thing happened so fast, you probably don't even hear the first line, or any of the other stuff. I did get good use out of the I swear I'm only 1/3 creepy. I didn't deliver it at the beginning, but when I saw her acting like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I swear I'm only 1/3 creepy kind of thing.
That's the best time to use it.
Yeah.
You know, when they're looking at you like you're creepy, you say that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the best time. If you're getting kind of disoriented reactions on the approach, it usually means you didn't like. After I stop them and say, "Hey," I'll try to count like 1, 1,002 in my head. Make really strong eye contact.
Okay.
Just so they're really like present. I know they're listening to me. It kind of helps ground me and become more present too. And then, you don't run the risk of the opener.
Because otherwise the opener slips by before they're really attentive to what you're saying, kind of thing.
Yeah, like if someone came up to you out of the blue, it's going to take you a second or two to be like, all right, what's happening?
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Robbie, I've used I don't want anything from you quite often, and that just really changes the whole mindset. And also just saying, I know this is really random right in the beginning, but I found that I don't want anything from you is like, that's huge. It works really, really well, especially if I can, like, I don't use it all the time, only if I can see they're looking at me like, what are you trying to sell me? And then, and then later on I can say, actually, I lied. I want blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you do this with the, what's the entire sequence then? Like, where does that line fit in? Because you're doing, let's say you do the hook and loop. You stop.
Well, I'll start out with a typical approach. Like, I saw you walking and I wanted to come up, and risk making a fool of myself or whatever. But then if I start getting that, what are you trying to sell me look, then that's where I'll use that. Hey, I don't want anything from you. I just wanted to come and blah, blah, blah. Right. And that usually really changes the tone of like, I can just see them kind of, they drop their shoulders and they, suddenly they open up. It really works well.
So it's like they didn't believe your first comment or your first explanation of why you're approaching them, and they're still suspicious, but that can disarm them further.
Yeah, like, especially in malls or stores, there's often people walking up trying to sell you a credit card or, they're trying to sell you something. And so I just say, or even you could even say, hey, I'm not selling anything, or, I don't want anything. I just found that works really well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why that would, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And, that's the best is when you can kind of come up with your own stuff. That it feels more genuine, Yeah. Actually, I was talking to, I think that's Nick with the hat. He's kind of far away from his computer. But Nick and I were, he had just read one of the books. It's called Start With No by Chris Voss, and there's some really good stuff in there on negotiation. And he's like a hostage negotiator for like the FBI. And Nick was coming up with some openers based on the material in there, which I thought were pretty cool. Nick, you want to run us through those?
Yeah, so actually a different guy wrote Start With No. Chris Voss wrote Never Split the Difference. But they're kind of buddy books, like they're both worth reading. And the whole idea is that people are so used to we're just like overdosed on yes. People are always trying to get us to yes, whether it's to buy something or to agree to something. And there's that long-standing thing of, some of you guys have probably heard it, where it's like, get them to say yes to little things, and then the step off, rather than a jump off a cliff for the big agreement, it's just a step off a curb. But people see that shit coming a mile away, and so they will say yes inauthentically to get you to fuck off. So the whole idea is that there's security in no. So you'd say like something like, God, what would be an example on the fly here?
Would it be weird if I did?
Yeah. Would it be weird if a guy who was walking down the street saw a pretty girl and came up to talk to her? Right? Then she's got to think about it, because people are kind of locked and loaded, ready to say yes, or know that people frequently want them to say yes. So the whole idea is that you really disarm people by saying no. So it's harder than you think. I've been working on it and doing it in everyday conversation. You just have to make it a habit of, rather than saying things that people will say yes to, make your questions no. And I found a huge difference, like, for example, when I deal with my patients. So I'll say, rather than, don't you want to have a strong low back that you can go hunting with? I'll say, have you given up on having a strong low back that you can count on when you're elk hunting? And that's a really great thing. The have you given up on is another good sort of lead into stuff, because it's not an automatic thing, and it requires a little bit of thought. In that case, if they say, yep, I've totally given up on that, well, it kind of tells you where they're at. But if they say no, that's a beautiful thing. No, I haven't given up. Well, great. Follow my recommendations to a T, and you can have that, right? So I really recommend those books. You'll be shocked at the difference. I haven't had a chance to use them in approaches. I was actually going to New Jersey, the New York City kind of area, to see my sister. I guess it would have been like last weekend, and mechanical problems, it kind of fucked the trip. So I was all locked and loaded, like to go down the street with my sister in these areas and try it, and it was derailed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how those work. I think they could be really good.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And it was Chris Voss, and what's the other guy's name?
Chris Voss. The other guy's name, I got the book right on my nightstand.
Jim?
Can you post those on the group then?
What's that?
Can Nick post those on the group, the name of the book?
Yeah, I posted them in the chat.
The other one is
now.
Oh, okay.
Jim Camp. Start with no.
Hey, Robbie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Rather than the books, what Nick said is great. Everything resonated really well. If there's some conversation starters for the no type of questions, like how you lead into it, if there's this couple of one-liners, I think that would be very helpful for me at this stage.
Yeah, the ones or the ones Nick came up with that I was kind of brainstorming with was like, would it be weird if, and then you call out what you're doing, or
there's. Can I interject?
Yeah.
There's four big ones that Chris Voss uses. There's would it be horrible if, like, for example, he was in a busy restaurant and they needed to sit down. It was totally busy, but there was a roped off section that had nobody in it. So rather than saying, is it okay if we all sit here? He goes to the server or the hostess. Would it be horrible if we just sat here and had a quick drink? She's like, no problem at all, as long as you're out of there by 6. So there's, would it be horrible? Have you given up on? I can pull them up, but there are these really great tag-ins, and of course I said there's 4, and I can come up with 2.
This is great. This is completely different way of looking at it. So thank you for sharing. It's awesome.
Another one would be like, would it be too forward if a random guy came up to you on the street and, chatted you up?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So are you saying basically it's easier?
Would it be too creepy? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's basically like people are more comfortable with no, so they're more likely to go with that answer?
There's security in no, right? You're not trying, contrary to the standard thing of trying to get people to agree to something. You're giving them permission, and really you want them to say no. So it disarms them. It feels more honest.
Okay.
It's brilliant. Try it out. Like, seriously, it's the difference is really, really remarkable.
Yeah, and you're getting to your you're almost expressing your authentic self. So let's say if you walked up and you said, would it be too creepy if somebody's hit, if a random guy hits on you? in one line you're expressing your interest, what you're doing, and you're I mean, it's on a level. I mean, I think this is great. To me, it sounds really well. I'm gonna try that out for sure.
Yeah, if you feel like it'll work a lot better than what else you're doing. That so that's always how you know. If it feels good, it'll usually work.
Cool.
I feel like that's good for like a business deal or something. Like I could probably use that at work for a conversation. Like if I need someone to agree to something, that's a good way of disarming them, and then going forward with whatever else you want to get them to.
Yeah, the work one, the have you given up on, is a really, really good one for work because of where it takes them mentally, and again, disarmed.
Yeah. Like, I want to go back and reread that book. I read it a couple of years back and remember feeling like, wow, this stuff is awesome. And then I didn't really put it into practice. Kind of got busy with other things. But as you said, Nick, I think it's really important to, really make the effort to inject it into your everyday conversation so it becomes natural.
Yeah, I do it at the coffee shop. Like just to practice. Hey, is it too much to ask to have a specially made latte? Like, well, no, that's not. Thanks for asking, even though it's my fucking job.
I bet it would work really well for homeless people asking for money.
We'd be like, would it be horrible to just flat say no? Or how about this?
Would it be too much if I asked you for like $100? Like, Christmas is coming,
Or if they ask you for change, you'd be like, would it be horrible if I said change comes from within?
Oh, you're saying if you responded to homeless people, that's even better.
Oh, okay. If you went up to them.
I was thinking as like a social freedom exercise, like where you go and pretend to be homeless and ask for money, which is terrible. Oh. But
so I have as far as like I accidentally made a snide kind of remark or rebuttal to somebody asking me for change one time. I was so spaced out, I just did it on accident. They came up and they're like, change? I was like, no thanks.
That's really good.
And then I realized, I was like, oh shit, whoa.
That's funny. Yeah, I like it though would it be horrible if I told you I didn't have any cash on me?
Yeah.
That's what I
Dude, Rob, Ozzy and I think I was with Ozzy. They said that they can take credit card now.
Yeah. And they were like, do you have a card? Like,
yeah. Like, what are you
just looking for a yes. Just looking for a yes, yeah.
Crazy. No, but they probably had a Square, like, ready to go on their iPhone.
Like, listen, man, if you can afford a Square,
yeah, I
have faith in your ability to make money on this planet.
Exactly.
And who am I to get in that way of giving you a handout?
Right.
Actually, that'd be pretty funny to do that, and as a social freedom exercise, and go up and ask somebody for money, and then as soon as they said no, you pull your phone out and go, "Well, I got Square."
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If you want more, go to innerconfidence.com and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for the latest episodes.